Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new. My name is Joe Josh. I go by iChart Daily. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a quick technical analysis on Bitcoin, ending it on XRP. This is a very simple one. This is just kind of like an update to the last video. So first things first, this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. If this is your first time to the channel, I've been doing technical analysis for 17 years. I was taught this process originally by my father, who was an options trader for a very, very famous brokerage firm that they made a movie about. So I'm here to give you a window to my thought process, why I say certain things, I back it up with factual information in the charts, and then we see it play out. So first things first, let's go over the last video. The last video I was talking about, we're at this midway mark where we're looking for a continuation to the upside so that we're extremely oversold. We're extremely overbought at resistance. Right now we're not at resistance, right? What's resistance? Well, you could see on the daily time frame, we have these beautiful lines. We had resistance, 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 resistance. We've also had support, 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 support. We buy at support so that we have the opportunity to take profit around resistance, right? As of right now, we're looking to see if we're going to have more blood back to support, or is this the beginning of something like this, and we could go back to resistance. So what needs to happen in order for that to happen? Well, we need to start seeing either hidden bullish or bullish divergence on the indicators. The indicators that I use, that don't lie to me, is the MACD, which is a momentum indicator that literally tells you when things are going positive or negative. Things change whether the things go positive in section A or positive in section B, right? This is a golden cross in B. This is a golden cross in A. This is a death cross in A. This is a death cross in B. Both have different impacts on the structure, okay? I also use an RSI that tells me when we are extremely overbought or extremely oversold. There are multiple sections in this indicator as well. You could say A plus, this is A, this is B, this is B plus, okay? You always want your asset to be in A going to overbought. Okay, that's when you're going to see green candles. And you can see right now, I said in the last video, the RSI is going to be the first mover. Okay, we had made an inverse head and shoulders. We went down, went up, lower, up, higher low, up. This is a bullish reversal pattern. Unfortunately, we filled the pattern, right? Filling the pattern means you fill this side of the leg, and we did. Now, the most important thing, you can see the moving average forming a nice bottom. The RSI staying above the moving average. When that happens, we remain bullish. When you use it as resistance, you remain bearish. So the most important thing right now is, do we come back down, form another higher low to the 44.40, stay above the moving average, and break into section A. That's why I have this alert here at the 50-50. It went off. Now I'm going to set another one here at the 51.84. That is a previous resistance level right here, right? And I want to see if we break into it and then use the 50 somewhat as support, showing me that we are breaking to the upside past the 61,000 to, let's just say, the 62,000, and we have room to do this. The same way we had room to do this, the same way we had room to do this. That's all I'm looking for. Now, I'm going to remain somewhat bearish just for the longer time frames, and I'll explain why and what I mean by that. So I posted in the Discord, links in the description. It is free. I don't charge you for it, so please don't fall for the scams, because it happens at least once a month. Someone tries to impersonate me. No, I'm not running a hedge fund or anything else. My point is we have been making lower highs and lower lows since March 13th, 2024, right? We did not break 73.7. We did not break this level. We did not break this level. This most recent pump from 53,000 all the way to 70,000 doesn't mean anything because we did not make a higher high. What do I mean by it doesn't mean anything? It means the market structure remains bearish. You can't say we're going to the moon if you're making lower highs and lower lows. That's not the way that works, cuzzy, right? Now, once again, we can go all the way up to 65 to 68,000, right? All the way to here. And that would be a beautiful pump. But if we don't break 70,131, it's another lower high, showing me that we will somewhat remain in this trend and have potential to come back down not only to this level, which would be the most bullish scenario, right? So you get a macro head and shoulders showing you the trends changing for the better, and we have potential to break out of this trend. No. What's on the table is if we use what was resistance as previous resistance, we now could use what was support as present support. And unfortunately, the trend with this is we're making lower lows, right? This low here was 61.4. This low here was like 56, 57. This low here was like 53 to 54. This low here was 49, but we did have some buying pressure. So now what the most bullish thing can happen on a macro level is we do this. We stop, but we do this. And we form a way higher low, showing me that we could potentially make another higher high, breaking out to like the 70,000 to the 72,000. But then we need to see if this move takes us here, and then we could do something like this. If we do this, and then we fall back into this, then you have potential, excuse me. If we do this, and then do this, and fall back into this big macro trend, then this is back on the table. Now, why do I remain somewhat bearish, right? I've been preaching to you guys for literally 2-3 years now. There are rules that you need to follow. And one of the first rules is you bet with the long-term trend. You do not see bearish sentiment on the longer time frames and open up longs. Long-term trends predict short-term outcomes. What do I mean? I look at the monthly and, I'm like, doesn't look great. The reason why I say that is on the monthly, there's only been 3 or 4 death crosses. There's only been 3, 4, 5 golden crosses, and each time they were the beginning of the bull market when you golden crossed, and the beginning of the bear market when it death crossed. Now you don't have to know anything, but does this look like the wave is going up and volumes getting darker and higher, or does it look like that this line looks like it's top heavy and volumes coming down, and we have a couple of months of potentially going flat, or maybe it's just a little higher high like that 80, 85,000, but you need to watch this chart, cuzzies. This chart has not lied to you in 12 years, but the news and people have. What do I mean by that? Well, if you remember during this pump, during 2015 to 2017, they said we were going to 100,000. We stopped at 20. We stopped when the RSI went bearish and broke the moving average, started heading down, and we were officially over and we started to death cross. Right? They said we were going to 100,000 here. We went to about 70. Market ended when that RSI broke, used the 70 as resistance, and we double topped and had that death cross right here. So if we have that death cross and we have that break in the RSI, I don't care who's president. I don't care what they're saying. I don't care what's happening in any economy, war, this and that. This hasn't lied to me, cuzzy. Now, the most bullish thing that could possibly happen is this again, right? You have that little bit of blood, but then you have that recovery back to, let's just say, that 75 or 80,000. I don't do many shout outs, but Crypto Crew and Traveling Trader are the only 2 real YouTubers that I tell people to watch besides me, because they talk about facts in the charts, right? I can relate to that. Doesn't matter what religion, race, sex, pronouns you use, cuzzy. A death cross is a death cross. A golden cross is a golden cross. Overbought and oversold, that's just straight 101, right? It doesn't matter. So with that being said, you also need to check this RSI. I've been saying it for a while, right? When the RSI breaks the moving average, it's not like something bullish usually happens. So I'm going to set an alert right here at the 1695 on the monthly time frame. And I'm curious if we break. Now, if we break, we could still remain somewhat bullish for a little because we're in section A, but it's usually lower highs and lower lows. You can see once you break and go to the 50, this pumps, dead cat bounces, but nothing usually bullish happens. This was the only time. But once again, this did not death cross. I do think this potentially could happen again. So I'm curious if we come down, right? We go to this 50 or even the 56 level. Then we go back up to the 70. So this would look like this, right? You have your little bit of blood. Then we do something like this. But we form a lower high, right? We form a lower high on the RSI. Your MACD still looks like poop. But we made a higher high to the 75.7, right? This, technically, you would go from, if this is like a bull flag, let's just say, and you do have potential break to the upside, I think it goes to like the 83 to 85,000, which lines up with a mathematical equation that Crypto Crew found in his crew that literally says when you put in the numbers from the top to the bottom, it brings us to 85,000. Another psychological thing I want you to know about, right? This is just sales 101. If you hold something and you want to sell it, you always give a price that's a little bit higher than what you really want to get rid of it at, right? You have a car, it's like it's worth 100,000. What do you start at? Let's just say it's worth 100 and you want to get 90 to 100. You're going to start at 120, right? You work it out, you talk with the person, all right, you haggle, you bring them down to 90 to 100. You don't start at the price, right? So if people own Bitcoin from 17.5, 15.5, 13.5, right, I'm just going to throw that little jab out there if everyone remembers those numbers. And we start hitting 80,000 and I'm seeing bearish divergence. I'm going to be like, yo, this thing's going to $1.50, cuzzy. Buy it. Great time to buy. All right? Anti-inflationary. You're going to start hearing all the great characteristics of the asset that didn't matter when it was going down, right? It's scarce. All that stuff. The only thing that matters is the chart's been going up for 12 years, higher lows, higher highs. And the most important time to buy was extremely oversold. Now that it's hitting extremely overbought territory, we went to the 77. Now you might see some hidden bearish divergence on a monthly time frame. It's nothing to play around with. So now that I went over that long-term technical analysis and showed you that, once again, first things first, I could see this happening. Then we need to see a macro high or low and then the push to the upside. But as of right now, this is the move that's happening. That happens when the daily RSI breaks the 50 line. You break the 50, you break this resistance of 62, and then we will start being extremely overbought again at these levels. And if we're extremely overbought at 64 to 66,000, it's time to take profit on your longs, cuzzy. That's Bitcoin. Very simple. Just trust the charts. XRP. Here we go. Once again, longer time frame. I'm only showing you longer time frames on this because it's the only thing that matters. The most important thing is you got a golden cross on the horizon. You're looking at the next two bars lining up with September 9th. So you have the next 2-3 weeks, let's just say. You are seeing, once again, bullish divergence on the shorter time frames. Your weekly RSI broke into section A. That shows me that we could break this 0.0994 level and start heading towards this level here. Once again, I am using previous price action to justify where I think we're going to see resistance. And I do think we see resistance right here. Right here. And if that happens and we do pump over the next 2-3 weeks and Bitcoin does have its nice pump back to 68,000, I think XRP could go back to let's just say 75 cents. 70, yeah. The reason why I say that is I'm just looking left, bro. Just looking left, right? We had a hard time breaking this level here. We had a hard time breaking this level here. And this is what I'm seeing, right? We did this. We did this. We went up to the 65 cents. We're making a higher low, right? So technically, okay, let's zoom in. Yep, this looks like an ascending triangle. An ascending triangle is you're making higher lows on your swings. I want to stop right now. Okay, I want to say something. You need to wait for the swing to happen and the wave to happen in order to confirm that it's a low, right? You line that up with MACD golden crosses and death crosses, like you'd see, right? This was one swing, this was one swing, this was one swing, right? You line that up there because a lot of people have a hard time understanding where should I draw trend lines, and you're drawing them prematurely, and it's messing you up. Now that you see 2 touch points, usually you want to see 2 to 3 touch points, I'm confident saying that this is a trend line. So back to the technical analysis, this looks like a ascending triangle. You're having a hard time breaking 63 to 64 cents, but you're making higher lows. We went from 38 to 64 to 48 to 64 to 55 to 64, right? And you want to see this break out, right? You're in section A, you're in section A. So if you're thinking a bullish structure is happening, you want to back that up with positive indicators. Section A golden cross, being above the moving average, room to grow back to the 70, love it. Have room to go back to 64, 65 cents. You want to see the longer time frames now start to do that. All right, let's look at this. And then you understand that you have weeks of green candles on the daily. You understand? Your longer time frame is bullish, so you could bet long, you could bet higher probabilities are going to happen, green probabilities on shorter time frames. Okay? Meaning a break of the 64 cents. Now, I don't know if it does this and then goes up, or if it does this, forms a higher low and then goes up, but that's why I have an alert here at 65 cents. I'd probably lower it to right about there, 63,233. I don't know why that did that. There, okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to set an alert here, right at the 62.5. I want to see if we go back into this green level and we start seeing selling pressure again, the same way that we see these wicks and wicks and wicks and wicks. I want to see if we're going to blow through the wicks with a full body candle, right? That's what you want to see. That'll show you that this, and that, and we have room to go back to 72 cents, let's just say. That's XRP, that's Bitcoin. Love you guys. 20 minutes. Set your alerts. Once again, I have 2 alerts here. I'd probably move this one up. Let's zoom in a little bit, make it clearer for you, right? Okay, so I'm going to put an alert here at this 59.4. Why? Because I want to see if we're going to use what was resistance as support, showing me that we have a break to the upside. And if we were to break this level, I know that we could come back into this channel and then come all the way back down to 56,000. Next, I have another alert here. Excuse me. Put it right above here at 61.6, notifying me that the trend is changing and the technical analysis that I just told you is actually playing out. And we could do something like this, and then you start seeing Bitcoin do something like that. That's my technical analysis. Love you guys. If you appreciate these videos, I would appreciate if you just liked it. You don't have to comment. You don't have to do anything. Like it. That helps me versus the YouTube evil algorithm. And that's that. Love you guys.